Hey everybody, it's me, Angela Walters. Welcome to my weekly live chat. If you have ever participated in my live chats, you probably notice it already looks a little different. I'm not in my normal studio, so the camera's not quite as good, the audio is not quite as good either, but I just wanted to pop in and do our little live chat. I'm actually remote, so I'm out of town and we are in beautiful Alaska on vacation. But since I missed the last couple of weeks of live chat, I thought, well, why not pop in live and show you what it looks like here in Alaska and just talk about a few things. So if this is your first live chat, it's not the normal, but I'm super glad that you're here. We always usually come on live at Thursdays at 3 p.m. Central and talk about quilting, answer your questions live, and have a great time. Normally, I have Jessica behind the camera monitoring the chat. I'm going to try to keep an eye on any questions over there, but if I miss you, I'm so sorry about that. I'll be back in the regular studio in a couple weeks. But when I was thinking, like, what am I going to talk about? I was like, well, I thought we're kind of in between a lot of stuff. We just wrapped up a bunch of classes at the shop, and then we're getting ready to start our next video series. So I'm kind of in that in between. So I was going to kind of just give you a peek on all the things that are coming up, and then, of course, answering your questions live. Now, I do want to say, since I'm not in my normal studio, I'm not on the perfect internet. I hope we have no technical difficulties, but if I freeze up or you miss me or something happens, so sorry about that. Anyway, so again, you can kind of see the view from behind me. Beautiful Homer, Alaska. It was even prettier, but the clouds kind of rolled in about an hour ago. But anyway, very, very nice. So excited today to talk a little bit about what's going on, but I thought, you know what, let me show you what we're looking at here. Isn't it beautiful? Just, if you've never been to Alaska, you totally have to go. I came here for the first time, gosh, I think 9 years ago to teach at a quilt shop, and I loved it. And I've just been coming back. So if you ever get a chance, it's definitely worth it. Anyway, so talking about upcoming things, there's a lot of stuff always going on here at Quilting is My Therapy, and the big one is our upcoming Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along video series. Now I know if you've watched any of my live chats, you probably are maybe a little tired of hearing about it, but it's going to start July 1st, and so really excited to do this free video series where we learn some of my favorite designs for those background areas of your quilts. And it's kind of like this big project. We do it about twice a year. It's this big kind of undertaking, and it's always fun when the videos start and we actually get to quilting, because we got to design the panel and get the products out there and get everything shipped, and then it's like, then we can have fun quilting. So that's really what's kind of big in my world right now. I'm getting ready for those videos. And whether you have a sewing machine, whether you have a long arm, whether you've never quilted before, or like you have plenty of experience but just want some design inspiration, this video series is for you. Plus, it's free, so you can't really, beat that. But we're going to be talking about background areas because those can be some of the tricky places to quilt, right? Especially when you focus so much on the blocks, you might be like, well, what am I going to do in the background around it? And the quilting you put around those blocks can really help highlight them or hide them depending on what you want to get. So the effect that the quilting can have on your quilt is pretty profound, but it doesn't have to be difficult to be impactful. And I think that's what's really fun to know, that you don't have to quilt it to death like I do. You can still do little things and have a nice impact. So here is the schedule. The first week we'll have 2 videos. So we'll have echoing blocks and continuous curve. I know it's a series about the background, but we're talking about blocks because those are important as well. And so those 2 videos will come out, and then we'll move into the different techniques that we'll be using in the background areas of our quilt. So as I'm editing videos, by the way, it's no more beautiful place to edit videos than here in Alaska. I've been kind of pulling out some pictures to show you kind of what we're going to be working with, but the techniques that we're learning aren't necessarily design-based. I mean, we will be learning some designs, but you can apply the techniques to other designs as well. So don't feel like it's I've got to learn this design. Think of it more like a technique and a design at the same time. And we just wrapped up some in-person classes. I see some people on the live chat, Gail, and other people that were there, and they know in my classes I like to do both, right? Technique and design, so that even if you don't love the design, you can get something from the technique. So lots of fun. The first one we're going to be talking about is adding movement to background areas. And so as I'm filming, I'm taking progress shots, I'm editing the videos, and I thought, let's just kind of see how it unfolds before we get to the videos. Adding movement is just a way to draw your eye to the blocks, right? It's like saying, hey, you should look right here. And then if you don't like the block, you just quilt over the top of it and hope it just kind of hides it. But wavy line designs are perfect for adding movement. And I love to joke that anybody can quilt a wavy line. If you don't think you can, just try quilting a straight one and chances are it'll come out wavy. So we're going to do the wavy design and then the OG design. Now, when we're talking about our blocks, right, because the background areas, everything around that main block or main blocks is meant to help show it off. And so echoing, you can kind of see here, just a simple echo line can help separate that from the background filler and really help it kind of pop off of the quilt. And I like to joke, this is kind of like eyeliner, right? I'm gonna highlight my favorite parts of the block and then maybe just not the other. So this is gonna be something we do around blocks that we really like and we really wanna show off. Now, I am not the best piecer in the world. I do like the machine quilting, but I get kind of lazy with the piecing. So every time that I have one block that actually comes out right, well, I'm like, well, shoot, I should probably show that off. So we're gonna talk about movement there. And then also continuous curves. So it's such a basic technique where you quilt curved lines from point to points on your blocks. And so we're gonna see some different variations. And as I was kind of pulling through the ones to show in the videos, I was trying not to make it too overwhelming, right? Because there's about 1.5 million continuous curve designs that you can do. So I kind of thought of some of my favorites and some variations, but I want you to know that these are techniques that you can switch up and create other effects with as well. Now, if you look though around the block, you can tell I have some irregular areas. So background areas aren't always gonna be perfect rectangular shapes, right? We're gonna have to learn how to work around the points of our block or work in between the block and the edge of the quilt. So we're definitely going to, we're gonna see how to put that design in irregularly shaped areas as well. Because it's one thing to know how to quilt a design, it's a totally different thing to know how to use it on your actual quilt, especially those irregular areas. I'm not trying to scare you or anything, I'm just letting you know we're gonna be unpacking a lot of information in these videos, and so I hope that you find it helpful. Now, Bonnie just asked if there's any suggestions for backing the challenge quilt. If you got the panel and you're like just gonna come up with your own backing, it just depends on how much you want the quilting to show. I think it would be fun to put a solid fabric on the back, maybe in a contrasting color, than the quilt top, and then you can see your beautiful quilting on the back. Now, I know, usually when I say that, about half of the quilters out there are like, oh, I don't wanna see it. So a busier print will be a great option. The coordinating fabric I picked is the purple print you can kind of see up at the top of the picture. But the backing you pick just determines how much you're gonna see the quilting. I always loved it when I'd quilt for customers because I would tell them if they gave me the fabric, you know, that you could see the quilting, it was like they got 2 quilts for the price of one, and I wouldn't charge them any extra for that. But anyway, but really backing just depends on what you wanna work with. Then I'm really excited because this is kind of a first. Throughout our free motion challenge quilting alongs or all the video tutorials I do, sometimes we revisit designs a couple times. The wavy design is an example of that. But one I haven't really talked about is changing scale or transitioning in between designs. And this is a super fun way to add interest to big background areas with designs you already know and love to use. So here we can kind of see a progress shot of this where I've marked out some sections and quilted the designs in there. Now, even though I have pebbles really small and pebbles and swirls, and it goes to swirls and leaves, you definitely don't have to do it that dense or that over the top. Now, we know I like quilting things to death. Quilt it till it's too much and then add a little bit more has always been my motto. But this is a technique you can do at any scale with any design. So even if you're like, I want to quilt a meander over the whole quilt, you can still do that, but still draw attention to your favorite areas of the quilts in an easy way. So I'm super excited about that video. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And here's just a different example of changing it up. Now, once the videos start, I'll be going live for the live chats and answering your questions about that week's video. And that's really where we get the classroom kind of feel. I love it because I can touch base with you all and make sure everybody's doing great with the designs we're learning and kind of seeing the progress pictures. Now, in this photo, I might be kind of blocking it with my picture, but you can kind of see some different echoing here. And we're gonna learn different ways to echo, not just your basic single echo, you can do some different options there. So excited about that as well. Now, another one, this last kind of progress picture, is creating secondary patterns. And this is one of those abstract kind of techniques because it's like not every quilt is exactly the same, But just by looking at reference points on your quilts, you can really kind of create some secondary designs that can add interest, especially to bigger background areas or background areas that are irregularly shaped, kind of like here. So we'll see some different options for that. So again, this video series is going to be a little bit different than normal. I think we're going to learn some really cool techniques that's going to help you with your quilting journey. Now, beyond that, a couple other things that I've got going on. I just finished up some quilts for Tula Pink, so I have to show you what those look like. But she hasn't seen them yet, so I've just got a couple sneak peeks, and I'm going to do a breakdown of each of these quilts. So one of them is an EPP quilt that she did. You can kind of see up close. Again, nothing too, I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's kind of, she hasn't seen it yet. And then also her Grayworks quilt. So if you've seen her Tula chat or her Talking with Tula on Tuesdays, I have her Grayworks quilt, and so I have some progress pictures of that. So again, kind of in between, like all this stuff that's getting ready to come out, but not quite, and then just wrapping up other stuff, so you can kind of see that. So for these quilts, I took some video. I'm gonna have, step by step, kind of how I quilted it in my process a little bit. So kind of fun there. Anyway, so that's kind of, gosh, what's been going on. Again, really the live chat's gonna start July 1st. That's where, the fun really happens. We get to start quilting. And there's a couple questions that have come up from previous about the panel. So I just wanna address those real quick, and then I'll see if anybody has questions. Sally asked, will it help to have any special rulers? The only ruler that I'll be using throughout the video series is a straight edge ruler. So Slim is a great option, of course. I designed him, he's a Creative Grids ruler. But if you already have a straight edge ruler, it's gonna work. It's gonna be pretty helpful, but not necessary, it's not required. All right, first of all, you don't have to pre-wash your panel. This is kind of the big, great debate, right? Do I wash it? Do I not wash it? It's up to you. If you wanna wash it, go for it. I don't pre-wash my fabric because I don't like ironing, and that just seems like more work, so you don't have to do that. Now, before the video starts, if you want to quilt along live, you can. I mean, as the videos come out. You don't have to. The videos will be on my YouTube channel indefinitely, so you can peruse them at your leisure. You can even check out previous Free Motion Challenge video series as we're going. But if you're kind of wanting to quilt as the videos come out, go ahead and prepare your quilt top. If you bought the panel, if you want to put borders on it, go ahead and do that, and then baste your quilt sandwich in your desired method, right? So if you're quilting on a sewing machine, go ahead and get it basted, whether it's pin basted, fusible batting, or basting spray, whatever you want. On a long arm though, it's a little different. So this is always the great conundrum, right? Because the videos are coming out every week. If you load your quilt, you're gonna have your quilt frame taken up for like 5 weeks, and that might not be great. Okay, good. I'm hoping people can hear me. It's like no sound. Anyway, if I were participating in the challenge, what I would do is wait kind of towards the end and then do it all at once. But you can totally load it and work your way down as we go. So it's totally up to you how you want to address that on the long arm. Now, participating is easy. Once the videos start, you'll watch it. They'll come out on Tuesdays, and then quilt along, try out the design or technique that we're learning, and then join me for the live chat if you want. And so that's kind of how that goes every week from there. So very fun. To get the panel, you're going to visit the website, and I just realized that I did not give a link in the description box. I'll add that afterwards. So you can definitely click the link in the description box and it will take you. And it has all the information, it will have all the information about the Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along, the schedule, the pictures, and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm really very excited about it. Thanks, Nita says she loves my rulers. Well made, appreciate it. Brenda, do I prefer binding cut on a bias? So here's the thing, I love to quilt, and that's about it. I don't like the binding or the piecing. So if I were going to bind, which I know how to do, I just don't love to do it, I would just do regular binding because bias takes a little bit longer. That's about it. That's just because I'm lazy. So that's about as deep as that goes. Anne asked a great question. She's working on her long arm, and she has one large backing but 2 smaller quilts, and she asked if she can load both of them at the same time, and you absolutely can. It's actually really fun because you don't have to load the backing a second time, so you just kind of work down both of the quilts at the same time. The one thing I wouldn't do is load 2 separate pieces of backing at the same time. Now, some might have tried it and not had any problems with that, but the problem with 2 separate backings is you might get, I don't know, a little bit of different tension on it. So one big backing is perfect, especially if you have like pillows and pot holders, like just get a big piece of fabric and smack them all down. So very, very good. Dee asked if she wants to make it into table runners, how to follow along. So the panel I designed is designed kind of in thirds, and it wasn't really meant to be broken up, but somebody was like, oh, you could totally do wall hangings. I'm like, that's great. So what I would do is quilt the whole thing and then cut it into thirds. And that's actually how I did it. And you can check out a previous video where I show you how that's done. You could cut it into thirds beforehand and quilt it if that's easier for you. Just know that the backing might not be enough if you bought the backing kit. I haven't done the math on it. It would be close. But yeah, if you're working on a sewing machine and you're like, it's too heavy, or I want to make it easier, then go ahead and cut it in thirds and make 3 sandwiches. That's totally fine too. Definitely an option there. And then I put out a video where I showed you how to face or put facing on the wall hangings. Now, one thing I'm doing with 2 of my girlfriends is we're doing like a swap. So they're going to quilt it 2, and then we're going to each take, kind of like friendship bracelets. We're each going to take one. And I love it because I'm already done, so they got to catch up with me. But if you have some quilting friends, that might be a good option as well. Gary said, I bought Sid. Is he too small for this quilt? No, he'll be perfect. Sid is a little bit shorter than Slim. I wish I had some to show you, but I don't have any of my rulers with me. Anytime you're working with rulers, there's always going to be areas that are bigger or smaller than your ruler. And so we'll have to be kind of extending it out, and we'll see that even with Slim. He's not going to be as long as what we're be quilting. So adjusting it to bigger areas is not difficult at all. You'll find it very helpful. So hopefully that helps. Yep, Savannah said they load charity quilts on backing and it works great. So really great option with that. Beyond that, once the videos start, it's going to go pretty quick. Every week we'll be talking about that week's tutorial. We'll be seeing examples, and I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of what everybody does with the techniques. Because like I said, we don't have to necessarily use the designs that I'm using. Savannah said, I'm on vacation, I shouldn't need my rulers, but I always like having my rulers close. It's kind of funny. Normally I'm in my studio, I'm like, oh, let me pull it out of my drawer, but I don't have that here. So anyway, I know that a couple people got on live before and they were like, oh, my first live chat. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. It's not normally like this. Normally I have like a teachable moment or a technique or something, but I'm super glad that you are here. Now, I know that a lot of my viewers don't watch live because of the time of day. So if you have any questions about the challenge or about anything, you can leave them in the comments because I get on there from time to answer them and make sure everybody's doing good. So I'm just kind of monitoring the chat to see if there's any questions. Looks like everybody's just doing great. I'll put the link to the panel and so that you can check that out. Now, if you have liked any of the videos or any of the content I put out, I hope you'll give the video a like. Judy is always great to remind me and everybody to say that. So like the video, that just helps YouTube know that other quilters like it. The question is, can you get my rulers in the UK? Yes, so they're Creative Grids rulers. So anybody that's a Creative Grids dealer, hopefully will be selling them. But I don't know the exact stores, but you can check those out there. Anyway, totally glad I'm glad you hung out with me. Sorry that it's not the normal kind of live chat. The next couple weeks will be like this, again, kind of in here talking about stuff. So next week's live chat, same time, I'll have a topic for that one, of course, and then we will have fun with that. I hope you all stay safe and have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next Thursday. Until then, everybody, happy quilting.